What's going on, Bears? What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. On today's episode, we're going to talk about some of the winners and losers, the studs and duds, whatever you want to call it. Some of the best players that stood out and some that shrunk in the game against the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to talk about all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
All right, Bears fans. So while the game against the Cowboys was disappointing for a lot of different reasons, the defense, had their worst showing of the season, I feel. And, even Roquan Smith has spoken about it, just saying that it was embarrassing for the defense in that loss, especially when you had a game in which your offense probably played one of the better games throughout, one of the better four-quarter games from our offense in the season so far. And while the Bears defense left a lot to be desired, and I do think they're gonna bounce back. Hopefully, Matt Eberflus, they're gonna get him back corrected and things like that. Alan Williams, which is the Bears defensive coordinator, he has to wake up. Like, I don't know how much delegating Matt Eberflus, who is a defensive coach, does to his defensive coordinator, but whatever happened there, they just did not make adjustments well. It almost seemed like the Dallas Cowboys had it figured out, everything that the Bears are going to try to do on defense. Every time we needed a stop, we didn't get one outside of one drive. And even though we went into that second half, or came out into the second half with some momentum, after the Bears put up 10 points in 3 minutes in the last part of the second quarter, and the Bears even came out in offense and scored on their opening drive, and then the defense just was not able to stop the Dallas Cowboys from doing anything that they wanted in last night's game. And so it was a frustrating loss, but a lot of positives did come away from it as far as just how the Bears offense is developing and playing. They are developing and playing very well. And we want to talk about some of the better players on that offensive end. Of course, first up is Justin Fields. Justin Fields just putting up consistent performances over the last 4 weeks, 4 games, and it's kept the Bears in games. We're seeing our quarterback really start to blossom and grow into the quarterback that so many of us wanted and expected him to turn into. And, even with the offensive line being what it's being and him having not as many weapons as what we would want him to have, the offensive line not protected him at to the point to where we need, Justin Fields is now showing and being a playmaker. And I said it on last night's live stream after the game, is that the one thing that I do think, with Justin Fields dealing with as many sacks as he's had his first few starts going back to last season, I think it's really made him start to understand pressure a little bit more, knowing when to run a little bit more, knowing when the play's breaking down. Let me go ahead and try to do something with my legs to create some separation. So those things, just that development we're seeing from Justin Fields, you have to put that in the positive area as well, because it's just he's blossoming right before our eyes and turning into that prospect that the Bears saw him in when they traded up for him. And, as many Bears fans at the beginning of the season wonder, is Justin Fields that guy? I do think he's showing everything to show he is indeed that guy. All right, the next one up is Khalil Herbert. Khalil Herbert, just while him and David Montgomery and them as a 1-2 punch, let's go ahead and mention them as the 1-2 punch. Our running game is just so elite. Another game over 200 yards rushing from this team. Listen, it's just the three-headed monster of Fields, Montgomery, and Herbert back there and what they're able to do. And we haven't even seen Treston Ebner, who we did, at least me, I came in after the preseason being very high on Ebner as well. It's just, listen, it's hard to put into words just how dangerous and how special this running back combination is. And we know there's some speculation going around if the Bears are going to make a trade. Maybe they look to move Montgomery because of the contract. Do they re-sign him to a contract? I, at this point, think as you're looking to add more weapons, you don't want to subtract any weapons. And unless David Montgomery's asking for too much money, I definitely think that they have to bring him back and just keep this core of him, Herbert and Fields all together, because it's just a special combination to have it. But I'm giving it to Khalil Herbert specifically on this one because while Montgomery was definitely the bruiser, he definitely softened up the defense. Khalil Herbert just continues to prove to be just a great running back. I love Khalil Herbert. I love his elusiveness and what he's able to do. And, I can't, and the one thing that I would have to take it away from David Montgomery is that fumble that he had that really changed the tide and the momentum of the game when we were trying to build some momentum. But outside of that, Khalil Herbert, definitely just a gem in this one. And the next one up, a one that I've been waiting to see and put on this list, Darnell freaking Mooney, who showed up big time for the Chicago Bears on the offensive side of the ball, he did what needed to be done. Like having 5 receptions, I think, in this game, going over 70 yards. He just came in and played the way that we expected him to play so far. And yeah, we need more weapons. Yeah, we need him for us to get him a better partner out there and have more weapons out there next to him. But that 36-yard reception from him to Fields, their chemistry is just starting to develop and show itself as well. As we continue to open up our offense and our passing game more, we could continue to look for Darnell Mooney to have more games like this, even though they've been sparse and in between it so far this season. I think it's going to open up. I think we're going to see better and better from Darnell Mooney as the season goes on, big time for the Chicago Bears, because it's just, listen, it's been the growth has been amazing to see. Now, as far as on the offensive end, one of the things that did not stand up well is the pass protection. The pass protection in this game, but we expected, especially having 2 of our starters out. Our pass protection was not what we needed it to be. They didn't do terribly, but as bad as some people would have expected once you knew Reef and then we're going to be in there. But at the end of the day, like they just did not do. Justin Fields is the most sacked, the most pressured quarterback in the NFL this season. And it's going to be a continued concern no matter who's in that lineup, but you got to keep giving it to them as far as like not being what we needed to be, because so much is dependent upon that offensive line. So, that gets that. But the defense as a whole was just a negative. I don't have anything positive to say about the defense other than Jaquan Brisker did make several plays, getting the sack. It's just, listen, Eddie Jackson as well played very well in this game. But outside of that, the run defense, terrible for the Bears. The pass defense, not good for the Bears. I wouldn't call it necessarily terrible, but it damn sure wasn't good. Not as bad as that rushing. The rushing defense just was absolutely fucking trash in yesterday's game. But even then, like I said, you can still give it to the pass defense as well. Dak Prescott went 21 for 27 for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns. Lamb with 5 catches for 77 yards and a touchdown. Schultz with 6. Listen, Eddie Jackson's interception was needed. It was cool. But outside of that, the pass and the run protection in this game just was not what we needed or expected coming into this game. One of the things that we've always said that we can bet on with this team is the defense. The defense has been one of the most consistent aspects of this team since the preseason. And to really see that it just did not come along. It did not. And I know some people, it's the missing Robert Quinn. I don't give a damn about none of that. This defense sucked last night. Period. They sucked. And like I said before, I trust Matt Eberflus. He's going to wake it up. I think this defense is going to get back on track. We need it against Miami, who is not anything to shake your head at either. But it's going to be interesting to see how this defense now responds to really having their pants pulled down in a major way, giving up almost 50 piece in an NFL game. It's just, you hope to see the defense respond a little bit better in those times and overall. But outside of that, while this was a tough loss, while this loss did suck, like I said, the growth of the offense overall, the growth of Luke Getsy's play calling. Luke Getsy called some extremely good series in this game that you just, in most games, I would think that we could expect the defense to stand up a little bit better. And we probably, if we not get to win this game, is much closer if our defense plays to the way that we're used to seeing this defense play. But at the end of the day, like, the growth of the offense has been the best thing to see, the best positive you can take away from it. Like we said on the post-game show, yeah, it was a tough loss, but there were still some promising aspects even in this loss that you see the Bears building towards. And while I had initially said before the season started, look at the Bears to really start putting it together offensively in week 6. We're now in week 8. And so, it's coming together. And I do think that the second half of the season for the Chicago Bears is going to be one in which we see some really big improvements from this offense as they just continue to settle down, understand the system better, play better together. The chemistry is still building with this team, and all the positives on the offensive end, to me, it's worth it. We already knew coming into the season this was going to be a season of growth and development. And so with that being said, we are starting to see the building blocks of this team improving and how they're going to hopefully look towards the end of the season. But let me know what you guys think on everything down below. Make sure you're following the show at Shy Bears Central on every social media platform. You can also send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text and or voicemail, the number to do so for our mailbag episodes, which are on Fridays, The number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related because of you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.